This is probably the shortest one that I could probably find in order to have this conversation. So let's go squawk on the street.
Across Washington and Wall Street when it comes to immigration, particularly on immigration's impact on Silicon Valley and jobs. Megan Casella joining us now with that story. Megan.
Hey, Ryan, good morning. So this is a showdown between the big tech wing of Trump's Republican Party, led by Elon Musk, and the far-right MAGA wing of the party. And the debate is over H-1B visas, those ones that are reserved for highly skilled foreign workers in fields like math and engineering. And this all started with a far-right activist, Laura Loomer, criticizing a Trump appointee's stance on expanding skilled immigration. She called it alarming that career leftists, as she called them, were joining the administration with views in opposition to Trump's America First agenda. And that then started a fight with Musk, with Vivek Ramaswamy, with David Sachs, who's the incoming AI czar, all of them saying that the U.S. needs these H-1B visas and H-1B workers in order to stay competitive. They also believe that Trump is on their side in this. He said this summer that anyone who graduates from college in the U.S. should automatically get a green card to stay. Now, guys, these visas aren't a huge part of overall immigration. They're capped at $85,000 per year, but they are used primarily by tech companies. Amazon applied for more H-1B visas in 2024 than any other company. Other big names are among the top users as well. Tesla applied for 742 of these this year. You can see a couple other theirs as well. So it's a small but influential sliver of the workforce. But it's also, guys, the first time that we're seeing real division within the party on this. It's sort of Musk versus MAGA. And the question now is whether this might preview more policy fights to come between these two camps.
So the question is, should H-1B visas be issued, or should we be recruiting the top talent outside of the United States of America through legal migration, or should we just stay making sure that all of the jobs go to Americans? Thoughts? I'm gonna throw this to Micca. Micca, give us your thoughts.
So I think it should be both. My experience with it is I used to have my consultant company where I used to recruit for tech companies and put people there, and they all were always from India. And what you run into, though, is a lot of companies, they don't want to do the sponsoring, or if they do the sponsoring, then they want to pay, on the low end, because you know from corporate America they have that range, and so they want to pay on the low end for these workers and things like that. So it can get tricky, because if you put these people here and then American workers come after them, then they want to still pay that same low range, and you can't pay the same that you would pay for somebody with an H-1B visa or a skilled American worker. So now that job is now slated for somebody like that. So I can see how, because of my experience with it, I can see how people would want it and how it helps. But then you create a culture of just bringing people here specifically for that, just like they're doing with the illegal immigrants in the farming industry. So I think you should have it, but I don't think it should be just given, seem like free will like it is now, because you have upwards of 700,000 Indian immigrants here, and most of them are here on those visas.
Well, if they're contributing members to society, why does it matter?
What do you mean they're contributing members to society?
Like if they're over on visas to do a specific job, they're not raping, graping? Like, it sounds like they came over here for a purpose.
I understand that, but if I'm a company, right? I know you guys. I would give you guys a job in my tech company before.
I'll be right back. I'm about to use the restroom.
Before I give anybody else a job.
So you're saying these people are less qualified? So you said these people are less qualified than the American counterparts?
No, they're usually qualified. The problem is they're not American. So when you quantify what they will accept with wages, it's lower. So usually you have, I think you worked in corporate America. So usually you have the low range, the mid range, and the high range. right, in the budget for whatever that position is. Those people usually will take the low range. But then when you get an American that has those qualifications, they don't want to take that low range because they know it's the low range, because they know the market rate for that actual position.
Let me add a little bit of context here, because I've hired a lot of people outside of the country and brought a lot of people outside of the country on H-1B visas. Usually what happens is you hire them in through a contract company, right? And we actually pay the contract company. We pay the contract company more money. We pay more money to the contract company that then pays them a fraction of the salary. So we're paying them to basically recruit. So we got a middle.
So if you do $15, if you're paying them $15, we're going to charge you $18 because we're going to take the 3 off the top.
Yeah, but it's usually a lot more than that. It's usually
commensurate. Yeah, I'm just using a figure.
Yeah, but it's usually commensurate with what you would pay an American worker. So it all kind of balances out about as far as like what the true cost is to pay a tech worker, for example, to come in and do a particular job. What we've also found, though, is that they are much, much, much better at the job than what we can find and recruit inside of the United States of America. And one of the reasons that I've seen and experienced, the reason why we go outside of Americans, is because we cannot find the amount of people that's actually qualified for the jobs to do the jobs that we need here in America. So I guess my point is that the reason that we recruit the best and the brightest outside of America is because there's a shortage of American workers that are qualified to do the jobs that we need them to do. And I'll add a caveat. When they come over here, often at times, foreign students, they pay much, much more in tuition, and they don't get any kind of student aid to be able to do so. They are much more profitable for our universities. They are much better contributors into our society. They pay taxes, and they are very much the best and the brightest of their country, which we recruit the best and the brightest of their country to come over here and contribute into it and pay taxes.
Well, here's my only thing with that. What I found with it is that they're kind of taking the same route as other immigrants have taken, because now I see companies going around even that and allowing them to stay in India, because a lot of the tech jobs can be remote. So they're allowing them to stay in India.
That is true too. There is some remote tech jobs, 100%.
Yeah, because I've with the company that I had, I've hired for UX design, data scientists, BI, all that stuff. And a lot of those jobs you can do, remotely, and they will pay them the lower wages. And now when I go to hire somebody that's here in America, right, then
but what if you can't find people that are qualified to do the job because there is a shortage of professionals here in America that actually is educated enough, meet the criteria, and can execute on the position itself?
Well, that's the other thing, and I agree with that position as well, because you got to think the K through 12 here in America is not geared towards any vocationals or anything STEM related. So yeah, I agree. Everybody here is pretty much told to go to college, but it's not geared to what's happening in society. But I also think it's strategic, right? Because why, with all the policies and everything that we come up with, why aren't none of the policies geared towards that?
Geared towards what?
Right. They have the Department of Education that they love so much. They've come up with all this nonsense, but that's never been, like, technology has never been a focus, but they knew the tech boom was coming way back in the 90s.
What do you mean?
Before that.
What policies? What do you mean?
Oh, I see what she's saying. She's saying like it's nothing.
So a lot of you have a lot of the educational
to be qualified for the positions you're talking about.
What'd you say, Slim? I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I don't think it has anything to do with the education system. I think it has to do with cultural system, with the cultural norms.
Well, and Vivek Ramaswamy is a part of the culture.
It's not. Vivek Ramaswamy spoke about it, and he said we celebrate the Zacks and the Slaters more than we celebrate the Screeches.
The Screeches, yeah.
He said that we celebrate Savon more than we celebrate the Urkels. And so I don't think it has anything to do with the education itself. I think it has everything to do with the culture. And the culture is that we celebrate the jocks and the athletes and the entertainers, and we throw rocks at what we call the lames and the nerds. And so what I see happening in the culture is that the thing that is celebrated the most, and because teachers really become overglorified babysitters, because ultimately they are just a reflection of trying to deal with what you're not getting at home.
Right, but who does the curriculum? This is what I'm talking about. So like, who does the curriculum?
The curriculum is modified according to the culture.
But that's why I said education is culture, because
but it's not.
Because okay, when you take so look at Cuba. The best doctors come from Cuba, and I can tell you right now, Cuba doesn't have nearly the amount of money that America has.
But it has nothing to do with.
But there's a different culture and a different sentiment there, just like Nigeria. Not most of the people that are Nigerian, they go for the medical field because that is the culture, right?
Correct,
so what I'm saying
that has nothing to do with the edge. Okay, so let me give it to you like this, right? One of the reasons why the culture is so fucked up and why they're doing away with certain things is because diversity, equity, and inclusion, and pushing people through that don't qualify to actually be able to compete on the highest levels. They're pushing people through, and then they're saying that this person can't get in because this person meets a certain identity profile. And so that is the person that most likely will not even be able to make it through college, but we had to forego an opportunity to this person because we wanted to give this person an opportunity, because that is a cultural norm now. Diversity, equity, and inclusion is something that people have been fighting for, not for the person that has the best. The policies now is to get rid of diversity, equity, and inclusion.
They should,
because they want the best person for the job, not the person that fits the identity profile.
Right, and I agree. That's why I said the whole thing. That's why I don't agree with the Department of Education, because like I'm saying, like if you look here in Maryland, right, where I live in Maryland, there's only two schools that actually focus on vocation to actually be able to send kids. Like they can actually go to a school and already have certain certifications once they're out. Like I'm just going to take one of them. Let's just say welding, right? Mm-hmm. They will already have that, and they can go directly into a high paying job because they've done that in school. Like it's already plugged into the system. But if it's not that way, then you're not strategically setting these children up to actually function in what the new ingenuity is going to be. Like they're getting pushed through K through 12, and then go to college to do what?
What do you mean to do what? We incentivize.
Okay, you said Vivek, right? Vivek even said it. It starts young. Yes, it starts young. That's what I mean by K through 12. They're not putting this in front of them. It has nothing to do
with the education system, in my opinion. This has everything to do with our culture. Look, I'll give you my point, right?
Okay.
I shouldn't have to incentivize you to do the thing that's best for you. When we go to school and we can pick any curriculum that we want to go into, anything we want. We go with African American studies, we go with liberal arts, we go with gender norms, we go with the same old bullshit, basket weaving degrees. When I went to college, or when I went back to school, and I was going through my software engineering courses, and I was taking Java and JavaScript and C# and all of this shit, right? I was the only person there that looked like me because I was the only person that I picked it myself, that was the thing that I wanted to do. Meanwhile, Junebug over here was just in there to get some fucking student loan money so he can go get some Timberlands at the end of the day.